Now that we have made it out of Pelican Bay, we are on our way to Egg Island to anchor for the evening. I'm fairly certain that we have anchored and already got ourselves cut up on a rock down there. I have a feeling that we're going to be needing to pick up and go somewhere else. Let me just say that the charts do say this should be all clear sand.
So we have two options. It's going to be very settled weather tonight. Right now we're at about a 7-to-1 scope. We can pick up our chain, put our bridle on at 50 instead of 75, and that'll keep us clear. Or we can pick up and we can move about 20 feet over that way, and it's still all clear sand.
All the dark patches that we see are going to be...
It's coral.
It's going to be coral, and we obviously don't want to damage coral. But if we keep a shorter scope, our chain probably won't rub up on them.
It shouldn't.
Yeah.
I'll dive it again, make sure that we're clear. Our anchor's nicely in the middle of that sand patch. Because if we go further over that way, like I said, we're like right in the middle of this sandy patch. If we go further over that way, then we're going to be in the same kind of spot. So yeah, let's go ahead and a 5-to-1. After further discussion and consulting the charts, we decided to abandon this spot entirely and move ourselves about 100 yards from shore, where the water was deep and the sandy bottom was wide and plentiful.
Oh my God. That really happened.
Caught it right as it went down.
Wow. That
Gorgeous.
We've never seen it before. Did you see it?
No, I was looking at both. I didn't.
Oh my gosh.
Well,
I thought it was a myth. Guys, the green flash is a real thing.
Did you see it?
Yes. What are you making?
Smothered pork chops.
Alright, after a somewhat rolling out on anchor, we are heading out. Should be a beautiful day of sailing.
Heading mostly south right now, and the wind is southeast, but we do need to make a turn to the east. So that'll change our wind angle quite a bit. It's going to be about a 90-degree turn, and right now we're at about 60 degrees apparent. So that'll put us about 30 degrees apparent on the other side if my math is correct. which is a little bit tight for sailing. We will turn a little bit more a little bit later, but that's like 2 hours.
It's not only tight for sailing, it's also really uncomfortable. And that does matter, guys. I used to think that it didn't matter and that we would just suck it up, but it really does matter.
Yeah, we can suck up things for a couple of hours. And really, we can really make a turn off it after about 30 minutes. There's just some rocky bits here at the Fleming Channel that we are trying to avoid.
So we're looking at a few options. We can go to Governor's Harbor, which is about a 95-degree bearing, or we could go to Hatchet Bay, which is a 77-degree bearing. And so it just really depends on the comfort and what it looks like when we get over there. You guys tell it's already a little rocky and rolly. The third option is for us to go someplace completely different. We could just keep heading south and go to the Exumas, which was like 27 miles from this Fleming Channel. So it's actually closer than our other places that we're mentioning. So I don't know. We'll see. We don't know where we're going to end up tonight.
Eventually.
I think we can make this turn for Governors, and I think we'll be okay. Try and keep falling off as much as we can.
We did turn on our engines because we don't want to get sideways in here. There are some submerged rocks and things we don't want to hit.
Yeah. Tacking.
So when we are slamming into waves, we get a lot of pole slap. The whole boat shakes. And that is one of the things we don't like about our boat. We like a lot of things about it, but that's something we don't like about our boat. The effects of pole slap. It's not just loud and annoying.
Nobody likes pole slap. No one likes pounding. While we do try to make all considerations for crew comfort, sometimes crew is just going to be uncomfortable.
So the anticipated wind angle is not as predicted. I mean, that happens, right?
The wind is supposed to be coming from there, and it's coming from there. We're really starting to question all these predictive models.
We're about to turn up, drop our main, because we're going to be seriously pounding directly into the wind for the next hour and a half. Best case scenario. There is a possibility that we're pounding so hard that we have to slow down significantly just to keep things from breaking and falling apart. And then it'll take us longer. Can't wait.
You can try and kind of ticky-tack back and forth to try and give us the best angle on the waves, but you know, that adds more distance and more time too.
One eternity later.
So our plan was to stay in Governor's Harbor for this big blow that we're expecting, like 30 knots over the course of like 24, 36 hours. We were talking to our friends yesterday, and they were telling us some stories about how this anchorage can turn into quite the shit show when big blows come through and changing wind directions and stuff. So we're like, you know, there's this really nice anchorage just 4 hours from here. It'll be another beating today, but I think getting there is prudent for a more secure, safe holding.
We were planning on going down there anyway to make the run across the Exuma Sound to the Exumas. So this is just, you know, we would get in there anyway. Might as well do it now.
Well, I gotta say, putting out the sails and turning off the engine slows us down a little, but it might make us a little bit more comfortable.
Not that much. I mean, we're still doing 6 knots. And a gust of 20.
I feel like if we're gusting at 20, we should be putting in a reef.
I think you're right.
So we went ahead and put a reef in our main. We have our full jib out. It's a 90% jib, so it's smaller than most jibs. And our engines are off and we are sailing. This is not the kind of sailing that I enjoy, though. This is bashing into the wind. It is, It's uncomfortable. It is what it is. We're making great time, and we will get there a lot sooner than we had thought. Ticky-tack, closer into shore and further out, closer to shore, further out until we get down, because the wind is pretty much directly where we want to go. And we would love to sail. We've sailed in conditions like this, but we've never tried to sail into it, which makes it so much fun, let me tell you.
I think earlier this year we said that we'd find wind. I think we found it. A lot of it. But it's a good day.
Ready? I gotta admit, a self-tacking jib sail really does make tacking easier. You know, I take back what I said earlier. I was saying that I didn't like this, and it's just been a while since we've done this. You know, we tic-tac close to shore. The waves aren't nearly as bad closer to shore as they were further out. And after just about an hour or two of doing this, you get kind of used to it.
Well, we're making great time. Can't argue with that.
It is amazing how much calmer it is now that we are closer to land. It is actually a pleasant sail.
Yeah, I do this all day. Still making 7.5 knots, and the wouldn't call it seas are flat, but they are definitely much smaller. Let's go shop for a parking spot.
We are currently waiting for the storm to approach. I feel like we've battened down the hatches, we've put everything away, make sure we don't have any flying projectiles, but we're just waiting for the wind to come and the boat to clock around. So it's beautiful while we wait and watch the colors. Gosh, it's so rich, so gorgeous. We were on the other side of this bay, on the east side, but with all this westerly wind coming in, we would have been pushed onto the leeward shore. So we wanted to make sure that we were closer to the west shore, and so...
just like Paige said, it's better to be closer to the windward shore than the leeward shore. So that's why we moved.
We're always hoping that these storms will be a big nothing burger, but it's always good to be prepared. When it says gusting 25-30 knots, that we're ready for 25-30 knots. Probably the biggest concern about this storm is the shifting wind. So we're going to basically go shift, I don't know, like 90 degrees about within the course of an hour or so. So we're just keeping an eye on that and preparing to turn on the engines if necessary.
No, the wind is down to 6.
That's our wind speed right there. The wind is not much at all. There it is. Now we're reading 265, 264.
Wind speed.
Wind speed's about 15. Now we're now due west.
That picked up.
Yeah, we're now 23. I think we should go ahead and turn on our engines just in case.
Sure.
We are turning really quickly. The engines are on just in case if we need to figure something else out.
The nice change of pace is happening during the day because usually this kind of thing happens at 2 a.m.
So when you rotate around so quickly, your anchor sometimes doesn't have a chance to re-grab because it was just pulling the other direction. So we want to make sure that we have our engines on and we are ready to respond if we start moving in a way that we should not be moving.
Our depth is a lot lower than... Oh, now it's back up to 1 foot. I don't know. We must be going over some sand hills or something.
Another huge concern that we had anchoring where we did was the depth. Everything's just really shallow around here. So it seems that we're at 320 now. We are where we're going to be. That's a 22-foot boat. We were in an anchor with it a few weeks ago.
Life goes on whenever, this is just wind and rain. Life goes on.
All it is. Well, you're now at 347 degrees, 10 knots of wind. We've seemed to get a little clock around and everything's fine.
Yeah, that was a 120-degree turn in 5 minutes. Yeah.
And everything seems to be good.
Yeah, all good. Now everyone's coming out and checking things.
Seriously, everyone is out looking, making sure we're all safe. Okay, so note, we closed all the hatches. Thought we were all battened down and ready for torrential rain, but
Don't forget to close your port lights.